Why would somebody give me a copy of Doom 3? I already have it. How did it get... Oh, that's weird. Well, it's that time of the year again. You guessed it. Vanilla Ice's birthday. And also Halloween, you know. And you know it's Halloween when you find a skeleton dressed as a ghost that's also a cowboy. I found it outside just last night. This antique place nearby burnt down. No one survived, which means I didn't have to pay anyone for this. Hooray for free shit. Isn't he just adorable? So, Doom 3. No idea how this wound up being outside, but it did remind me that this is the ideal game for this time of year. This is the Doom that fully embraces that hellish atmosphere established in the original games. After the completion of Quake 3 Arena, John Carmack, the coder of the original Doom and co-founder of id Software, recognized that game technology had advanced a great deal in the 7 years since the release of the original Doom. He spearheaded the idea of remaking the FPS genre's godfather in June of 2000. Fellow co-founder Adrian Carmack and co-owner Kevin Cloud were in opposition to rehashing Doom, both in favour of trying something new. The success of Raven Software's reimagining of Wolfenstein 3D, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, led to id's staff being convinced by John Carmack's desire to return to what made the company so iconic. Adrian Carmack and Kevin Cloud gave in, Doom 3 being greenlit, but the process of getting the remake off the ground was messy and convoluted, with artist Paul Steed allegedly being fired by Adrian Carmack and Kevin Cloud due to his outspoken support for Doom 3's creation, the specifics remaining murky 25 years later, and the death of Paul Steed in 2012 preventing the events from becoming clearer in recent years. Doom 3 was first showcased at Macworld in Tokyo 2001 during the reveal of Nvidia's GeForce 3, although it wasn't explicitly said to be Doom. The benefit of hindsight makes it obvious. John Carmack was present, being greeted by Steve Jobs. Carmack presented the revolutionary new id Tech 4 engine and highlighted its impressive lighting tech. The game was set to use high contrast and razor-sharp stencil shadows. Every object in the game world would have its very own shadow that would realistically react to the light sources around it. And it was an overall step forward for graphics and indicated what games could look like in the future. Doom 3 returned the following year at E3, running on an Athlon XP 2200 Plus and an ATI Radeon 9700. This demo was inadvertently leaked to the internet by two ATI Technologies employees in November 2002, and it can still be found online and played today. 2 years later, Doom 3 was finally unleashed on PC and Mac on the 3rd of August 2004, a Linux version releasing in October, and the long-awaited Xbox port following in the subsequent April. I'm going to talk about the original Xbox port of Doom 3 as it's the version I'm most fond of and the most familiar with. isn't the first Doom 3 I ever played. That honour goes to the dishonourable Doom 3 BFG edition. I'll get into that later as to why it doesn't stack up to the PC and Xbox version. Anyway, I think it's time that we let the gates of hell open. In terms of story, Doom 3 actually has one. Sure, there was a setup and goal in all the original 2.5D games, but Doom 3 actually has a plot with characters, dialogue, and world building. The game opens with a brief summary of the immensely powerful Union Aerospace Corporation, UAC Corporation for short. A dropship, its call sign being Darkstar, which is likely a reference to the John Carpenter film of the same name, arrives on the UAC's expansive Mars research facility, setting down in Mars City. We're first introduced to Elliot Swan, a UAC lawyer, and his bodyguard Campbell. Swan being tasked with getting to the bottom as to why so many workers and scientists are going insane and desperately seeking a transfer off Mars.
I'm tired of running damage control every time he makes a mess.
Right. You're the control, and if that fails, I'm the damage.
Is it just me, or is the way he said that oddly sexual? Last off the transport is us, Doom 3's Doom Guy, and despite somewhat popular belief, the Doom Marine in this game is not John Kane, from the Doom 3 novels. I really need to get around to reading those. Checking in at reception, we're given our PDA, a key tool in helping us progress through the game. It's the main reason that Doom 3 has some of the best world building of any game. It's all communicated in such a grounded manner. The game is very much the perfect marriage between the first Half-Life and System Shock 2. I love that every single room has its own name, and the way the designers made the Mars facility feel absolutely plausible, especially when you consider how nonsensical the layout of the bases were in the original Doom, which I don't mean to slag off, but it just goes to show how much technology had advanced in those 11 years, that they could now make something feel as though it had been inhabited by real humans. Not to mention the fantastically voiced audio logs and emails that are scattered around the base. These are added to your PDA, which is key in your progression, as you'll need it to find passcodes and high enough security clearance for specific doors. Most audio logs are not relevant to progression. They're there mostly for world building purposes, which they excel at, providing ominous backstories to the areas and NPCs you'll come across. My favourites being those found in Hell, and the audio log that sets up the corpse found in the Mars City morgue, but I won't spoil that. The PDA is the subject of much derision in the fanbase, most writing it off as a tedious and a pretentious replacement for Doom's iconic keycards. Yeah, I think most people forget that there are actually keycards in the game, even making the same sound when you pick them up as they would in the classic games. After getting our PDA, we're told to report to Sergeant Kelly in Command HQ, on the double. So we obviously stop to nose in at a tense discussion between Swan and the Mars facility's research director, Dr. Malcolm Betruger, who's looking like Dr. Evil's Macbeth. If you couldn't tell, this is our villain. His name is literally German for deceiver.
If I had a larger, more competent staff and bigger budget, even these few accidents could have been avoided.
I'm afraid you'll get nothing more until my report is filed with the board. I will need full access, Dr. Betruger, Delta included. I won't have any difficulties doing that, will I?
Only if you get lost, Swan. Just stay out of my way. Amazing things will happen here soon. You just wait.
I'd like to think here that Campbell is judging us for being a nosy get. Doom Guy didn't even try to hide that he was listening in. He just stood there in the middle of the room and stared. Reaching Kelly, we're immediately chewed out.
Took your sweet time, Marine.
Kelly gives us our first task, locating a missing scientist, likely hiding in the decommissioned comms facility.
I programmed this sentry to guide you to the maintenance elevator. I hope you follow the sentry better than you've followed orders so far.
Damn, dude, I've only been here for like 5 minutes. What an asshole. Descending to the Mars City underground, we're given our flashlight and pistol at the security checkpoint. This is, without a doubt, the most controversial aspect of Doom 3's gameplay loop. The flashlight is perfect for this game. I've once heard it described as shadow management. Yet, the reaction to it back when the game released was rather severe. It didn't take long for someone to make a mod that made the flashlight shoulder mounted, meaning you no longer had to holster any of your weapons to see where you were going. The 2012 BFG remaster of Doom 3 copied this mod. The handheld torch was gone, leaving us with the shoulder mounted flashlight, and that has sadly become the standard for all future releases of the game. A huge part of the gameplay dynamic and tension just evaporates with the removal of this feature. People forget that darkness was a big part of the old Doom games, especially Doom 2. Has everyone forgotten that there were light amplification goggles? Back to the story, Doom Guy eventually stumbles upon the missing scientist, desperately attempting to transmit a priority message to Earth. His claims nothing short of insane.
You don't know what I've seen. You can't possibly understand or comprehend.
The devil is real.
I know. I built his cage.
I'm getting abnormal readings here.
Before we can haul him back to Mars City, all hell breaks loose. Literally. Pentagrams are seared into the floors, demonic entities cross over into our realm. The scientist that stood before us is corrupted, becoming a mindless zombie hell-bent on devouring you. What follows is Doom 3's best remembered sequence, frantically backtracking through the underground, encountering all the friendly NPCs as either zombies or mutilated corpses, the panicked reactions of the base's security and marine forces transmitting over your comms. This is a brilliant set piece that contrasts the slow beginning. Many find the opening to be a slog, and that it's just capitalized off Half-Life, which the game does clearly draw a great deal of inspiration from. Yet I think the cold open for Doom 3 is much better than the one in Half-Life. It paints a clearer image of what life was like before the inciting incident. Returning to Mars City, battling zombified security still capable of utilizing their firearms. Over the radio we hear one Specialist Wilson.
Command HQ, this is Specialist Wilson. My team is gone. They're all dead. I'm running blind here. What are my orders? Over.
Voiced by the god programmer incarnate, John Carmack, in a neat little Easter egg. We make it back to the command center and make contact with Sergeant Kelly.
Connection established.
Marine, I can't believe you're still alive.
Jesus Christ, you couldn't even pretend to be glad that I didn't die. What have I done to deserve this? What an asshole.
Good job. And good luck, Marine.
Even when he says good job, it sounds begrudging. Kelly tasks Doom Guy with linking up with Bravo Team. Bravo Team carrying a card that will allow Mars to contact the Earth fleet for reinforcements. To reach Bravo Team, we must traverse administration, the Alpha Labs, and Enpro plant. As we go, our paths will almost cross with Campbell and Swan, who also survived the initial demonic incursion. Through them, we learn that Betruger is the one responsible for the invasion of the Mars facility. The root cause being the extensive teleportation experiments. These experiments leading to the discovery of another dimension, but more on that later. Bravo Team is wiped out in the Enpro plant, only one Marine surviving before being offed by one of the many new demons created for Doom 3. Collecting the transmission card, we ascend to the communications tower. After inputting the transmission card, we're given an ultimatum. Swan finally gets in contact with us, urging you not to send the distress signal.
Marine, you hear me? Back off from that console. Do not call for reinforcements. We don't know what the hell is going on here, and until we do, this area remains under UAC control. Cancel that transmission.
Let's weigh up our options here. Call for help and risk the demons using the fleet to return to Earth, or piss off Sergeant Kelly. Well, there's only one right choice.
Transmission terminated.
We did the right thing. Until we know what's happening here, we need to keep ourselves sealed off from everyone else. The monorail entrance looks clear. Meet up with us there. We need to reach the Delta Complex and stop this.
Marine, you have just violated a direct order. Get your ass back to that console and send that transmission. Marine, this is your last chance to get...
Worth it. Leaving the communications tower, we head to the monorail, where we plan to meet with Swan and Campbell. But before we can make it, the sky bridge is destroyed, presumably by Betruger's growing demonic influence, beginning a detour through the waste recycling plant in what I feel is the weakest portion of the game. It's just a sewer section with a sci-fi paint job. The worst part is we learn that the big choice we made earlier didn't matter whatsoever. Yeah, doesn't matter if you chose to send or cancel the distress call. Betruger just sends it anyway.
It's a pity you did not alert the fleet, but it is of no consequence. I'll alert them myself.
Why have the choice at all? I'll just rip the plaster off now. No, the choice you make has absolutely zero bearing on how things play out. No new character interactions or alternate endings. It literally did not matter. Makes you wonder if id planned on having more of these choices but scrapped them during development. I think it's plausible because Doom 3 is teetering on the verge of becoming an immersive sim, so it would have been cool to have seen it pushed further in that direction. Escaping the toxic fumes and increasingly dangerous demons, we reach the monorail and board a tram bound for the Delta Labs, where Campbell and Swan are now headed. Although simply boarding the shuttle and enjoying the Martian desertscape would be too easy. First we must unseal an airlock door blocking our passage, and after that, the entire shuttle crashes and we have to continue on foot. At the beginning of the level, Betruger is shown reciting an incantation, brutally transforming a Marine into yet another one of his minions. Betruger is clearly under some kind of influence himself. According to PDA diaries, he had a major shift in character after returning from an expedition to the other dimension. Whether Dr. Betruger is evil, being manipulated, or possessed is left ambiguous. Doomguy finally reaches the Delta Labs, ground zero of the demonic invasion, as this is where all the shady teleportation experiments are conducted. The Delta Labs is where Doom 3 finds its footing and truly kicks into high gear. Your arsenal is almost fully stocked, allowing you to dispatch enemies with any weapon you want. It's shown that the game's events appear to take place on Monday the 15th of November, judging by an information board in Delta Labs Sector 1. As we explore, we gradually learn the lengths Betruger was willing to go to learn as much as he could about this new dimension, the teleportation technology being reverse engineered from that which came from the original Martian civilization that has long since been extinct. Catching up with Betruger in Delta Labs Sector 4, we're too late. The portal to the alternate dimension reopens, two large demons crossing over. Hell Knights. Oh yeah, if it wasn't obvious, this other dimension is hell. It's hell. It's hell. We fight the Hell Knights in a battle reminiscent of the one against the Barons of Hell at the climax of Doom's first episode. After besting the demons, the portal expands, sucking us in. Travelling through a screaming gore tunnel, we find ourselves on the shores of hell, weaponless and most troublingly, flashlightless. Fortunately, we find firearms scattered throughout the level, left behind by UAC expeditions. Typically, none of them left behind a flashlight. I'd argue this is the best depiction of hell in any media ever. What I find uniquely terrifying is the way hell seems to absorb souls into itself, forging them into the structures we walk through. At least, that's my headcanon. This was also present in the original Dooms to a lesser extent, but it's more prevalent here due to the increased graphical fidelity. Reaching the end of the hell level, we have a boss fight with something called the Guardian. Defeating it grants Doomguy the Soul Cube, an ancient weapon containing the souls of the Preliantor, possibly the name of the Martian species or civilization. Teleporting back to the Delta Labs, we see that the Mars base is being consumed by hell. Big fleshy growths, skeletal structures and teeth, accompanied by lapses in dimensional stability, make hell seem like it's a living organism absorbing Mars into itself. We stumble upon a wounded Swan, evidently on his deathbed. He tells us that Campbell went on ahead to kill Sergeant Kelly, who has been corrupted by the demons. Swan speculating as to whether Kelly was ever on our side to begin with, opening the door to the possibility that Kelly was a co-conspirator in the demonic invasion. Additionally, Swan tells us that there's a new hellhole that's opened in the caverns beneath the facility, and we need to close it before the fleet arrives.
Earth will be destroyed. Earth. That's what they've always wanted. They were there once. Lost it in the dawn of time. Now it's so close. They can taste it. It's up to you now. Take my PDA, it's got what you need.
Leaving Swan behind, we shoot a path through central processing where we find Campbell, in an even worse state than we found Swan. Throughout the game, Campbell had been using the experimental new BFG 9000 to make their journey through Mars easier. Unfortunately, Sergeant Kelly has taken the weapon from Campbell. As a side note, I'd like to mention that Doom 3 has the absolute best iteration of the BFG. I love the design, and the fact it's still in the prototype phase means that if you hold down the trigger too long, it'll overheat and explode mode. How cool is that? In the CPU banks, we come to our showdown with the grotesquely cybernetically deformed Saboeth, formerly known as Sergeant Kelly, the design obviously inspiring the Doom Hunters from Eternal. Kelly goes down like a chump, dying the way he lived, like an asshole.
What an asshole!
From here, we continue our descent to Site 3, where the entrance to the caverns lie. Here we learn that the Martian people had previously engaged in a war with Hell that was similarly caused by their own experimentation with teleportation technology. As indicated by one of the numerous stone tablets, a hero used the Soul Cube to seal the gateway to Hell. Don't you think he looks familiar? Eventually reaching the lift, we're lowered into the primary dig site, the entire subterranean system suffering from severe tremors as the Hellmouth forces itself upon our reality. A couple more elevators and we're deep within Mars, where Hell has fully manifested itself into the planet. Yet another descent. We've reached the Hellmouth, and with it, the Cyber Demon. I wonder how long he was standing there waiting for the Marine. In the final boss battle, conventional weapons have no effect against the Cyber Demon. We must kill regular enemies around the arena to recharge the Soul Cube and use it 5 times before the finishing blow. The cube then flies into the air and into the gaping maw of the Hell Hole, returning to Hell and sealing the portal behind it. The fleet arrives days after the hellhole closed. The facility is littered with corpses, one of which being Swan. Luckily for us, Doomguy survived the ordeal, and may even be the sole survivor of the invasion. Yet one body out of the thousands dead is unaccounted for.
What about Dr. Betruger? He's nowhere to be found, sir.
And that is Doom 3's story. It isn't amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it does a great job at creating as believable a world for these events to inhabit as it possibly could. Like I mentioned with the PDAs earlier, the world building and lore in this game is incredible. And unlike the newer Doom games, it doesn't purely rely on expository dialogue to demystify the universe. Though we're all aware that the most important element of a Doom game is the gameplay, and this is where Doom 3 is the black sheep of the franchise. It is too easy, which has always been my chief complaint with Doom 3, even on Veteran, which would otherwise be an easier normal difficulty in another game. Maybe I've simply played Doom 3 too much over the years and have become overly proficient, like I borderline know the game like the back of my hand. If you really feel like cheesing the game to the ultimate degree, you can use cheap weapons like the chainsaw, which pretty much insta-kills everything, or the Soul Cube, which really does insta-kill everything, as well as refill your health to 100 hit points. Doom 3 didn't reinvent the wheel like the original did, but it wasn't trying to. It's frequently criticised for being nothing more than a tech demo for id Tech 4, which is supremely unfair and untrue. Yes, the graphics are beautiful, those razor-sharp jet black shadows are so striking, but the gameplay is still pure Golden Age FPS fun. I'd say it's truer to the original games than the newer ones. Many of the... What the fuck was that? Hello? What? Okay, that was weird. That was really weird. Okay, whatever. Many of the new demons have the same form of attack, that being melee. The maggots, trites, wraiths, cherubs, and ticks all jump and slash, no projectile-based attacks. The only exception being that the wraiths can teleport short distances, which makes them a credible threat when accompanied by other enemies. And trites and ticks can be a problem in large numbers, especially if you're a sufferer of arachnophobia. Boss battles are the weakest aspect. They're not frustrating at the very least, but they feel like an afterthought. The battle with the Guardian is probably the strongest in the game, requiring some semblance of strategy. The Sabaoth fight is pathetic, and the final battle with the Cyber Demon is ruined by the Soul Cube, which is the only way of damaging it. Would have been better if they'd made it so that you had to shoot it until a certain point and then finish it off with one final attack from the Soul Cube. Instead, you'll find yourself spending more time worrying about the bog standard enemies than the Cyber Demon itself. The Nightmare difficulty, which is unlocked after beating the game for the first time, does offer a unique challenge for not just this series, but FPS games in general. As soon as you step off the dropship, your health begins decreasing, capping off at 25 hit points. You're given the Soul Cube very early on, and this is how you regain your ever-depleting health. It's an interesting challenge, and I can't think of anything similar in other games. As for the original Xbox port, it fares rather well when compared to the technical marvel that was the 2004 PC version. Great graphics and performance, the stencil shadows are just as timeless here as they were on the PC. The port features an intuitive and fast quick save feature, which I wish more console ports of PC games of the era made use of. Additionally, it features a map select, which is absent from the PC version. Though calling them maps like you would for classic Doom doesn't feel accurate. They're more like locations created by a collaborative team, as opposed to unique levels in the old games designed by someone with a personality like John Romero. That sounds like a criticism of Doom 3, but it really isn't. The game just does something different. Levels are epically truncated for the Xbox, making the overall length of the game significantly shorter. The server banks level is a lot shorter, missing a huge chunk. Many of the scripted flourishes are also absent, the cold open being especially neutered with less NPCs populating Mars City. This version's biggest failing is the significant increase in loading screens. You'll be finding yourself stepping into many more airlocks because the hardware couldn't handle the scale of many of the maps. The original Xbox port is my favourite version of the game. It certainly isn't the best way to play Doom 3, and I wouldn't recommend it to newcomers, but it offers a slightly more challenging experience than the PC original, which is far too easy. I reckon the fact that you use a gamepad on the Xbox lessens the accuracy and proficiency you'd get using a mouse and keyboard. What unifies the two variants is the phenomenal sound design. It is unrivaled by most games ever made. In fact, Doom 3 might have the greatest sound design of any game ever. It isn't as memorable with its music like the first two, as it favours a more ambient sound. Yet that doesn't stop it from having the best theme in the franchise. That, of course, being the main theme by the band Tweaker.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
The same year the Xbox port released, Resurrection of Evil, an expansion by Raven Software released for both the console and PC. Resurrection of Evil is awesome. It is at the end of the day more Doom 3. This expansion saw the return of the Super Shotgun, which was absent from the base game, although I'm personally not all that fussed about it. It also saw the flashlight being attached to the pistol, and a new item being a demonic heart which gives you the ability to slow down time, making the game even easier than it already was. Honestly, Resurrection of Evil is worthy of its own dedicated review, so I'll leave it there. Now, I mentioned earlier that I first experienced Doom 3 with a version that was separate from the original, and for the sake of covering everything, Doom 3 BFG Edition. The BFG Edition released in 2012 and was primarily made to port Doom 3 to the PS3 and Xbox 360, but it was also released for PC. It is, at its core, an objectively worse version of the game. It's ruined by the shoulder light, the entire gameplay dynamic with the shadow management is lost, made even more pointless because the game is overall brighter. Way too many resources. You will never be low on ammo, armor, or health. An already easy game made even easier. No muzzle flashes when weapons are fired, and the sound quality is compressed for some reason. You can no longer skip cutscenes, and there's still no subtitles. Yeah, the vanilla game lacked subtitles too, but you'd think a remaster would add some. I'd love to see a remaster and console port of the PC original, flashlight intact. Sadly, the BFG edition has become the dominant version of Doom 3. It is what the Star Wars special editions are to Star Wars. BFG edition version has just become Doom 3. It's the only version sold on current consoles, the BFG edition subtitle being omitted. It was even used as the base for the VR version of the game. id Software doesn't care about Doom 3. They did nothing to recognise it for its 20th anniversary last August, not even a Twitter post. And to make me even saltier, just 2 weeks later they revealed yet another remaster of the 90s Doom games. Another one! The last one was like 5 years ago! Doom 3's legacy is a mixed one. Too many people disregard the game, saying it's a good game but a terrible Doom game, and I totally disagree with that. It's always been an aggravating statement as no one ever follows up with the things that Doom 3 does well. I believe that this is a great Doom game. It's possibly more a pure Doom game than anything Doom related that has come out in the last 9 years. People don't like that it leans so hard into the horror, but Doom should be scary. It's a descent into hell. You should be instilled with a sense of fear, dread, and of course, a sense of doom. You were all fine when Doom 64 did it, but I guess that was a slightly more traditional Doom game when compared to 3. I think Doom 3 succeeds in what it aims to achieve. It is as perfect a sci-fi horror experience you can get, the only major pitfall being the puny difficulty. If you don't think that Doom 3 is a proper Doom game, then you're swimming in denial with the crocodiles. Doom 3 is emotionally my favourite Doom game. I know it isn't better than the original, but I just have unfiltered love for it. It's a game I've played during my lowest and toughest times, so I'm always going to be grateful for it being there. Doom 3 gets a biased 4.5 stars out of 5. I love it, and it's the perfect game to play on Halloween night. Thanks for watching. Yeah, that was a good take. Ooh, damn, that's hot. Ooh. Speaking of which, it's kind of hot in here. I'm gonna let some air in. You. It was all you. Okay then, you ghastly ghoul. Let's rick and let's roll. Oh no, not the Duke.
The UAC is here to help you. Psychological services are free and confidential.